Policy 2020, on which two basic important thing is that one will be delivered by Dr. Pavnis Kumar sir on vocational education and NAP 2020. Another will be our resource person, Dr. Santesh Kumar sir, and he will deliver speech on research and innovation in NAP 2020. So let us start, and I am offering the floor to Mr. Jayanto Kolita, Joint Coordinator, Mazbat College, and we are going to start with our Honorable Principal and our main host, Arts Forum President, Dr. Abdul Karim sir, and Secretary, Arts Forum Tongla College Tongla, and Honorable Research Person from two Central Universities of Government of India, and also the honorable participants from different universities as well as different colleges and also the higher educational institutions, as well as also different research scholars and our dear students. So now I am going to start with this small speech and offering this show to Mr. Jayanto Kolita. Mr. Jayanto Kolita, you please start.
Thank you, Mr. Mintu Pathak sir, Joint Coordinator of this webinar. We are just going to start our formal session with our national anthem. I request all the participants and our guest also to unmute yourself and please please mute your video and mute yourself and audio also, so that we can start our national anthem. Please, for a moment, please. Thank you, all the participants and respected guests. Good evening to all. Now I request Mr. Mintu Pathak sir to carry forward the next part of the agenda. Please, over to you.
Thank you, Jayanto Kolita, coordinator of this webinar, and thank you to all of you that joined and our invited guests, resource persons, and principals, sir, as well as the main host of this national webinar. So now we are going to start our main session with welcome address will be given and shared by Dr. Abdul Karim, President, Art Forums, Tongla College, Tongla. So I request Dr. Abdul Karim to deliver welcome address for our guests, resource persons, as well as also the honorable participants of this national webinar or on India's new education policy 2020. So Dr. Abdul Karim, please deliver your welcome address.
Good evening, everyone. I respect Principal Tongla College, the distinguished resource persons, and other honorable guests of the webinar, all honorable members, Arts Forum, as well as Tongla College and Mazbat College, along with two coordinators, participants from different universities, colleges, research scholar, faculty members of different colleges and higher education institutions, my dear student participants and practitioners Ornav Setia. I, Abdul Karim, on behalf of the Arts Forum and also the National Webinar Organizer, I welcome Principal Prasan Daguri sir, is the innovator of the National Webinar of this webinar on the topic New Education Policy 2020. My heartfelt thanks to two resource persons, Dr. Pablis Kumarji, Professor Mahatma Gandhi Central University, Bihar. Another distinguished person, Dr. Santosh Kumar Singhji, Associate Professor, Central University, Haryana. And I am very much lucky with all the organizers of this webinar that from two different central universities of our country, we have got these two resource persons in this webinar. We are very much lucky, and I hope the participants will get the informative knowledge from these two distinguished and honorable resource persons. Then I thank to the participants who different parts of our colleges, universities, schools, and institutes. Most welcome all the participants, and my heart bless to all the student participants of the country. And I hope the National New Education Policy 2020 will carry a good message to the students community, and this webinar will be very much helpful for the learners and the teachers also. I thank to strong of all the things to face there, and I give my best gratitude to the technician Arnav Setia, who is with us, and all the faculty members of our teaching unity, that they all are cooperative in this webinar. I hope this new education policy will provide very new knowledge in the different field of relevant process, and our country will be benefited, and the participants also will be much more benefited. Hope you all will be live till the end of the program. At last, again, I convey my sincere thanks to all the participants that and now my speech here.
Ornab Setia. Ornab Setia. Ornab Setia.
Hello.
Ornab Setia.
Yes, sir.
Santosh Kumar sir has already joined.
Yes, sir. I found him, sir.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I think his network system has been disconnected with us.
Mintu Pathak sir, please. Okay, you carry.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul Karim, President Arts Forum Tongla College Tongla, and entire members of Arts Forum of Tongla College. And thank you very much because for giving us an opportunity to organize a very significant and important national webinar, especially on India's new education policy 2020, because as we know that the central government has initiated a new education policy for India after a long distance, and India is going to compete with other countries by means of this national education policy, in which our faculty members as well as research scholars and also even the students of higher education, they will be benefited from this new scheme that has been launched by government of India as well as all the states governments. So we have given an opportunity to all our participants as well as students to learn about new education policy so that we can earn some knowledge over that of our basic new policy. Now is the time for inauguration session of our national webinar on India's new education policy 2020. So I invite Dr. Posen Doimari Sir, Principal Tongla College Tongla, and also the patron of this national webinar to inaugurate our this national webinar, which is important and diligent speech. Thank you, sir. Please come, sir. Dr. Posen Doimari Sir. Sir, please unmute yourself. Aruna, you please unmute. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Pathak. Good evening, everybody. Respected President, Arts Forum of Tongla College, Dr. Abdul Karim, also the head of the Department of Education, Tongla College. Honorable Resource Persons, Dr. Pabnesh Kumar, Dean of Management Sciences, Mahatma Gandhi Central University of Bihar. Dr. Santesh Kumar Singh, Professor, Central University of Haryana. Honorable Joint Coordinators of this National Seminar Webinar, Mr. Mintu Pathak, Associate Professor of the Political Science of Tongla College. Mr. Jayanta Kolita, Head of the Department of Education, Margaret College. Respected technical expert of this webinar, Mr. Ornab Setia, Dibrugarh University, and respected participants of this national webinar on India's new education policy 2020. As you all know that India's new education policy 2020 was launched on July 29th, Wednesday, 2020, after the approval of the Union Cabinet. The policy aims at making India as a global knowledge superpower. Another stated aims of the policy is to instill a deep-rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought, but also in spirit, intellect, and deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development, and living and global well-being. The policy also aims at light but tight regulation by a single regulator for higher education, as well as on increased access, equity, and inclusion. It also aims at making all higher education institutions, including IITs, engineering institutes, multidisciplinary institutions, having 3,000 or more students by 2040, and at least one large multidisciplinary institution in or near every district by 2030. Raising the gross enrollment ratio from 26.3% to 50% by 2035 is another glorious aim of this policy. The undergraduate degree will be of either 3 or 4 years duration with multiple exit options. For instance, a certificate after completing 1 year in a discipline or field, including vocational and professional areas, or a diploma after 2 years of studies, or a bachelor's degree after 3 years program. The 4th year multidisciplinary programs, bachelor's program, however, shall be the preferred option. The policy also speaks about giving much emphasis on research, innovation, and vocational courses to be offered to students in higher education institutions. So the objectives are many, and we can most probably learn from our distinguished speakers today from this seminar or webinar on India's new education policy 2020. So as a whole, there is going to be a drastic paradigm shift in the education system of India. I hope through this webinar, national webinar, our participants will be highly enlightened and be benefited on different aspects of India's new education policy 2020. With these few words, I inaugurate this national webinar on India's new education policy 2020. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Dr. Prasanna Doimari, Principal, Honorable Principal of Tongla College, Tongla, and the patron of this national webinar for inaugurating speech. And from our organizing team, really thankful to all of you and also our principal, sir. Now, we are going to start our technical session 1. That is, our resource person is available with us, and we are very much happy, and also we feel proud that two of most honorable, dignified academicians from 2 central universities of our country that has been invited in our national webinar on new education policy, and all of them, they joined with us and they accepted our invitation. So we are very much thankful to both of these resource persons, honorable resource persons. And first session will be started now, and the first session that will be beginning with our honorable resource person, Dr. Pavnesh Kumar. And before we are going to start his speech, we are going to make a simple explanation about his academic activities, or maybe it is called as bio or maybe CV of Professor Pavnesh Kumar. So, Dr. Pavnesh Kumar is a professor of Department of Management Science and Dean of School of Commerce and Management Sciences of Mahatma Gandhi Central University of Bihar, Motihari. His special area of research interest is international business and finance. He did PhD from VBS Purvachal University, Uttar Pradesh in 2006. He worked as a faculty member since 2002 in different business schools like IILM and ICFAI University in various capacities, having 18 years of teaching experience till now. Professor Kumar Sir is also the head of the Management Sciences, Dean of Students' Welfare, and also the chairman of Anti-Ragging Squad, coordinator of Public Relation and Media Publicity, Deputy Proctor of Discipline Management, coordinator of Placement Committee, and also honorary director of Publication Division, warden of Hostel Management, and also the Students' Grievances, and also the member of Advisory Committee of the Mahatma Gandhi Central University of Bihar, Motihari. He has a great contribution as a guide in research and corporate life of university, having the honorable position as chairman and convener, coordinator, center superintendent, nodal officer, PC nominee, a life member of different committees and programs of universities and other higher level educational organizations as well as academic institutions. Dr. Pavnesh Kumar Sir has already edited 14 books and published more than 20 book papers in different journals of India and abroad. He also published 7 research papers in edited and peer-reviewed conferences. He has been invited as panel member, research person, chairperson, and a co-chairperson by different institutes of India. He has completed 4 research projects and participated in more than 30 national and international seminars and conferences. He is also awarded by different high-level institutions in different fields. Professor Kumar Sir is a very active and hardworking as well as energetic academician. It's a very difficult to complete about his achievements within a few minutes for me and or anyone, and I just mentioned a little about him, and I am going to hand over the session to share his experience on vocational education in NEP 2020. So may I request Dr. Pavnesh Kumar sir to deliver your speech or to share your experience and presentation with our honorable participants from different universities, colleges, higher level institutions, and with our dear students, also the guest and host. Sir, may I request, sir, please come and deliver your speech.
Thank you, Mintu ji.
Thank you, sir.
My voice is audible.
Yes, sir. You are fully audible, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mintu ji. First of all, I would like to congratulate the two colleges who have come together for co-creation of knowledge. The Tangla College and Mazbat College in Assam. So it is a great initiative, not only by a single institution, but also two colleges have come. So I hope the co-creation of knowledge which will be created today will benefit all the participants. Chairman of the function, Dr. Abdul Karim, President Arts Forum, Principal of Tangla College and patron of this webinar, Dr. P. Daimari, my good friend, Dr. Santesh Kumar Singh from Central University of Haryana, the two coordinators, Mr. Mintu Pathak and Mr. Jayanta Kalita, learned participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is a matter of great privilege and proud for me to deliver a lecture in the national webinar on India's new education policy 2020. I will be focusing on the vocational education in NEP. This will be my focus area. So first of all, I would like to express my gratitude also, and also like to thank the organizers for inviting me as a resource person in this national webinar. So thank you to all of you, and very warm good evening to all of you. Before starting, because I am speaking from Champaran, and you know that it is the land where the Gandhi did his experiment, and he got the title of Bapu from here. And in 1917, he led a very big revolution from the land of Champaran, that is Motihari. So there is a link between Mahatma Gandhi and vocational education, and that link is that the Mahatma Gandhi always favored the craft education, the skill-based education, vocational education. So there are three different policies till now. Instead of denoting it as a new education policy, I will denote it as a national education policy, because this policy is not only new, but also a policy which will govern the future of the nation. So it is also a national education policy. So there are the first education policy which came in the year 1968 on the recommendations of the Kothari Commission. It was also inspired by Gandhi, because you know, friends, that those who have done their education from Kendriya Vidyalayas or Navodaya Vidyalayas or any other boards, they might have gone through one subject that was known as SUPW. The full form of SUPW is socially useful and productive work. This SUPW course was basically inspired by the Gandhi, and the Gandhi always believed that there should be craft-centric education for skilling the education students. So this SUPW has been included in the first education policy that was in 1968. So I think that the Gandhi has an impact on the national education policy, which has been released in 2020 also, because vocational education has got its respect in this education policy. The second education policy came in the year after 1968. It came in the year 1986. Then there were certain modification in 1992, and now after 34 years, a national new education policy has been introduced by the present government over a long deliberations and discussions of over 5 years in 2020. So it is almost 34 years have gone. And the Gandhi believed that there should be connect between farm and the factory. farm and the factory. And manual work should also get certain weightage. It should not be undermined in comparison to the mental labor. We might be friends, we might be seeing nowadays the manual work has been not rated as good as the mental labor. The person who is in agriculture, the farmer, he has been not rated as good as the person who is working as a computer operator, even though the computer operator is earning less than the farmer who is growing produce in the farm. So this is the high time that the manual work should get the dignity as the mental work is getting. So now this education policy has integrated the general education as well as vocational education. The total, my presentation, I will be covering 5 different points during my presentation. First of all, I will discuss about what is vocational education. In part 2, I will be discussing about what is the current scenario of vocational education in India. In the third part, I will be discussing on what is the weightage which has been given to the vocational education in the new education policy. What are the contents? What has been discussed in the new education policy 2020 about the vocational education? I would also like to give certain experiences of South Korea. I will discuss about the vocational policy of South Korea also, because this policy, our new education policy, has been influenced by the education policy of Korea also with respect to vocational education. So I will be giving certain highlights of what is going on in the South Korea, because South Korea is considered to be the successful model if we talk about the vocational education. And in last, I will be discussing about the future of vocational education in India. So these are the points where I will be concentrating upon. So let us discuss about what is vocational education. So in very short, vocational education can be defined as education based on occupation and employment. And the main purpose of vocational education is to prepare people for specific trades, crafts and careers at the various levels in all spheres of life. So the basic, you can say the objective of the vocational education is to embed the human being, embed the students with a certain traits, specific skills, so that they can earn the employment in various strata of economic life. Now, if we discuss about the vocational education in India, there are 3 different levels right now which is going on. Number 1 is the lower level, that is known as ITI level, Industrial Training Institute, which are governed by the NCVT, that is National Council for Vocational Education and Training. So ITI, where the students get certificates, and these ITIs are run by the Ministry of Labor, Government of India. In India, the ITIs were started in the year 1950 with the numbers. In 1950, the numbers of ITIs in India were only 50. And at present, there are more than 7,500 ITIs which are working in India, more than 7,500. So ITIs, they are, number 2 is, the second level is of polytechnic, where the students who enter into the polytechnic, they basically earn diploma, and they are trained to become the technicians and supervisors. So there are many polytechnics in India in various districts. They are engaged in the vocational education. And the higher level is of IIT. IIT means graduate level, postgraduate level, at the research level. IITs, BTech colleges, technical universities, they basically prepare trained engineers and technologists. So there are 3 levels in India right now in vocational education: ITI level, polytechnic level, and IIT or BTech level engineering colleges. So beyond this, there are other certain institutions besides this which are engaged in vocational educations are NIOS, National Institute of Open Schooling. It is running vocational courses from its 11 regional centers and 2,067 study centers. So NIOS is also offering, National Institute of Open Schooling is also offering vocational courses in India. Number two, there are Jan Shikshan Sansthan. There are near about 221 Jan Shikshan Sansthan which are offering adult education programs under the Ministry of Human Resource Development, which is now known as Ministry of Education. So Jan Shikshan Sansthan's in various districts of India is also providing skill-based education, especially to the adult peoples. Next, there is also an organization, Khadi Village and Industries Commission, KVIC. They are also running near about 51 training centers for vocational training and education. There are various entrepreneurship development institutes in India which are running vocational courses. In agricultural universities, there are certain Krishi Vigyan Kendra. So KVKs are also offering the vocational training. They are also training the farmers in order to make them skilled. Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana is there, under which vocational education is given. Bharti Yuva Shakti Trust, there is a Bharti Yuva Shakti Trust which also offers vocational education. Other training programs for informal sectors are TRISEM. You might be knowing, friends, there is a training of rural youth for self-employment. TRISEM scheme. Under TRISEM scheme also vocational education is given. There is Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. Under that, certain training programs for skill-based training programs are organized. And vocational courses offered in different areas under the Apprenticeship Act 1961 they are given in the field of agriculture, business, commerce, engineering and technology, health and paramedicals, home science, humanities, science and education. Now, friends, this I have discussed about what are the various organizations which are offering vocational education in India right now. So we have discussed all these things, but I would like to significantly discuss about the skill report which was released in 2019. And this skill report came with one data that in India only 45.6% of the youth graduating from educational institutes are employable. It means only 45%. Graduates means 55% of the graduates are not skilled oriented, or they are not equipped with the certain skills which is required by the industry. This was the latest report released in the year 2019. This is a very horrible situation, only 45.6%. If I discuss about the quotation of the Amit Agrawal, who is the CEO of NESCOM, he has quoted that in the IT industry, in the next year, in the year 2021, we will see that there will be a lack of 7,80,000. There will be 7,80,000 vacancies which will remain vacant in the area of big data and artificial intelligence. It means our educational institutes are not so equipped to supply these the resource persons, or you can say the skill-based students in the area of big data and artificial intelligence. And if we discuss about the data of what is the formal education level in India, about the vocational education, what is the formal vocational education percentage in India? Friends, it is only 4.69%, near about only 5% of the total students who are in the education system get formal vocational education, only 5%. If we discuss about China, it is 24%. In China, it is 24%. In USA, it is 52%. In United Kingdom or in England, it is 68%. In Germany, it is 75%. And it is highest in South Korea, which is 96%. It means in India, the total students who are getting formal vocational education is only 5%, whereas in South Korea it is 96%. So you can see a huge gap, 5% to 96%. Okay, now youth population in India right now between the age of 15 to 59 is 62%, and the average population age right now in the year 2020 is 29 years. So India has a demographic dividend, but India needs vocational education, and this vocational education has become an important part of new education policy 2020, which we'll be discussing later on. Now, why there is the skill report pointed out that only 45.6% of the student graduates are eligible for employment. So what are the reasons of skill shortage? What are the various reasons? Number one is there is disparity between classroom knowledge and practical application. Whatever is taught in the classroom and what is required in the industry, there is a huge gap. This is the reason. It means our course curriculum, our syllabus is not so designed to fulfill the needs of the industry. Number two, there is shortage of relevant skills in the teachers who teach in the universities or colleges for making students skill based. So skill based teachers are also not available in the universities or colleges. Third, most important is that there is lower female participation in vocational education. Means the females are not so attracted, female population is not so much attracted towards the vocational education. Now, in the second part, I will be discussing about the current scenario of vocational education in India. Friends, our 93% of the total workforce works in the unorganized sector. 93%. It means 7% workforce is working in the organized sector, but major chunk, that is 93%, is working in the unorganized sector. And every year there is 12.8 million addition in the workforce. 12.8 million workforce is added every year in the workforce. Number three, our skill development capacity right now is only 3.1 million. Friends, just imagine the scenario. 12.8 million workforce is adding every year, but our skill development capacity is only 3.1 million. So there is a huge gap. Next, the government of India wants to increase this capacity from 3.1 million to 15 million in times to come. Very soon the government of India is trying that, and you might be knowing, friends, that I am very much happy that this government has created a new ministry of skill development and entrepreneurship, a separate ministry. It is a separate ministry which is only focusing on skill development. So this is a good initiative by the present government. A lot of work has to be done. If we talk about the manpower shortage, all over world in the year 2020, there is a shortage of 56.5 million workforce all around the world. So it means that it should be the focus area of the present government. The Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship need to be now take the quantum jump. It has to work very fast because our youth population is increasing day by day, and if we want to reap the benefits of the dividend, demographic dividend, this capacity has to be increased in a very short period of time. Now, in the 12th five-year plan, friends, you might be knowing that the 12th five-year plan was run from 2012 to 2017. Now there is no planning commission, there is no five-year plans. After 2017, the five-year plan has been dismantled. This government has come with a new, you can say, institution, Niti Aayog. So there will be no five-year plan, but five-year plan, the vocational education has been given importance. Like in five-year plan, the vocational education has been introduced from the class 9th, and it has been made the 12th five-year plan told that the vocational education should be integral part of the general education. It came with the NVEQF, National Vocational Education Qualification Framework, in the 12th five-year plan. And its objective was, the objective of NVQF was to uniformity qualification across institutions and creating provision for horizontal and vertical mobility. Now at present, if you talk about for the students of class 11th and 12th, near about 160 vocational courses in 6,000 schools across 32 states and union territories are offered. This is the current, you can say, the position of vocational education in India. 160 courses, vocational courses are offered by NIOS, Kendriya Vidyalayas, and other boards also. What are the various skill sets which are required by the youth population? Those skill sets are professional skills, behavioral skills, managerial skills, interpersonal skills, interfunctional skills, and operational skills. These type of skills are required by the youth population. If we talk about the main agencies which are involved in the training and vocational education, they are NSDC, friend, National Skill Development Council. Number 2, Ministry of Education. Number 3, Ministry of Skill Development and Education, Ministry of Labor Education. 20 central ministries and departments, they are running the vocational education programs right now. And in the state governments, these are run by the Directorate of Technical Education and various NGOs. So these are the data which I would like, I have shared with you. And let us come to the new education policy, what it talks about. Friends, if we want to go through the details on the University Grant Commission website, UGC website, there is a report of 60 pages. You can go through that and you can find out about the vocation, what is the vocational education position in the new education policy. So if you talk about the 4.24, the fourth part of this 4.24 part of the new education policy, it says that the curricular integration of essential subjects, skills and capacities, on the page number 15, it talks about that the curricular, there will be no difference between the curricular, extracurricular and co-curricular activities in the times to come. There will be no segregation. All the curriculum, co-curriculum or extracurricular activities will be treated at par. This is the basic thing. And the students will be given the subjects like organic living, environmental education, global citizenship, holistic heal, and artificial intelligence. These are going to be the part of the course curriculum. Every student will take. Friends, this is a unique, please listen it very carefully. This is a unique, you can say, thing which has been introduced in the vocational policy. That is, every student between the class 6 to 8 will have certain fun course, FUN, fun course, that gives a survey, hands-on experience of sampling of important vocational crafts. What it means, that between the class 6 to 8, the students will be given 10 days bagless holiday. 10 days bagless holiday. In that period, the student has to do internship. The internship concept has been introduced from class 6 onwards. Class 6. From class 6, they have to go for 10 days bagless period. In that, the students will do internship with the local persons, like those electricians, you can say blacksmiths, goldsmith, or you can say the persons who are making local crafts, doing metal work. The students will go to these persons, the persons who are engaged in crafts from class 6 onwards, and they will do a 10-day internship between class 6 to 8. And that period, maybe it may be gardening, it may be, they may approach carpenters, but they have to go there, they have to learn, and they have to submit one report. It has been introduced from class 6 to 8, and it has been advised, because you friends, you might be knowing that education is part of the co-current list. Co-current list means it is not controlled only by the government, but the state governments have also authority to make certain rules and regulations. It is part of co-current list. So the vocational education will be not only be introduced from the class 6 onwards, but it can carry from up to the class 12, and after that the students can opt for BVoc course, Bachelor of Vocational Education. We will discuss about what is BVoc. And vocational courses, like for the artificial intelligence and all that, it can be introduced on the online mode. Online vocational education will be introduced at the various levels from class 6 onwards. Now in 5.6 of this report is that it has been discussed that there will be school complexes. What is a school complex? The 15-20 schools will come together, 15 to 20 schools from primary level to the inter level, and there will be a school complex. And in a school complex, please friends, try to listen it very carefully. The local artisans, local people having expertise in the vocational crafts, entrepreneurship, agriculture, they will be called as subject experts in the school complexes. Not only the people having the formal degree, but also these people who are nearby that school complexes, who are trained in the vocational crafts, entrepreneurship, agriculture, they will also act as resource person in the school complexes. Their expertise will be exploited for making students skill oriented. Next, as far as the higher education is concerned, we have discussed about the part of vocational education from class 6 to class 12. This has to be, this is very important to quote here. This is very important to discuss here, that there will be no differentiation between arts, commerce, science, vocational education in this national education policy. Cafeteria approach will be adopted. The students will be free to select the subjects. They can select one course from vocational education, one course from physics, one course from music. So a student can opt the same time physics and music also. There will be no foundation of arts, commerce, science and vocational education in the years to come as far as this new education policy 2020 is concerned. So no student, the student who is taking the vocational education, he has the same he will be at the same level as of the student who is studying science. So this vocational education has been given a good weightage in this national education policy. If we discuss about the higher education part of the vocational education, in the 12th 5-year plan, I have already discussed that as far as the formal vocational education was concerned, in India, only 5% people, students, they get formal vocational education. So this was the study which has been conducted, and it has been found that the emphasis has now to be increased on the vocational education. And after class 9, 10th, 11th, 12th, if we discuss about the students to go for to continue their formal education. Now there is BVOC courses. In the year 2013, BVOC, Bachelor of Vocational Education course has been introduced, and BVOC course means it is equivalent to BCom, BA, BTech courses. Now the students who are taking vocational education, they can continue their further higher education by entering into the BVOC course. Now the target of the government of India is to increase this 5% formal vocational education to 50% by the year 2025. The government wants to achieve the sustainable development goal, the SDG goals which has been given, SDG 4.4 goal which has been given. In order to achieve the sustainable development goals, the government want to increase the formal vocational education percentage from 5% to 50% in the year 2025. This is the target. And secondary schools will be collaborated with the ITIs. Hello.
Boundary Am
I my voice is audible, Mintuji? Hello. Is there any difficulty?
Yes, sir.
Go on.
If we discuss about in this particular education policy, secondary schools have to collaborate with the ITI and polytechnics and local industries. So there will be good link, you can say, interlinkage between the industry and academia we will see in the times to come. Now, there is a concept of skill labs in all the school complexes. I have discussed, friend, that there will be school complexes. In the school complexes, there will be 15 to 20 schools. They will be sharing their resources, sharing of not only the human resource, but also the labs. So the skill labs will be created, they will be set up, and it will run on the hub and spoke model. Means if there is a skill lab in one school, it can be exploited, it can be used by the another school also in the same school complex. Higher education institution will offer vocational either on their own, and they can do partnership with the industry or NGOs. Friend, this is very important. This is a radical change, revolutionary change. If the vocational higher educational education institutions, if they can run the vocational courses by themselves, it is so good. Then if they cannot, they can collaborate with the NGOs, they can collaborate with the industry. The student can go and take certain credits from the industry, and that credits will be added if during the degree is awarded. So there the government has a plan for that. Now, if we discuss about higher education institution, they will also run the short-term certificate courses, which will be known as Lok Vidya. Lok Vidya. That name of that short-term courses will be Lok Vidya, and these will be the important vocational knowledge developed in India, integrated in the vocational educational courses. These Lok Vidya means these will be the local vocational entrepreneurship programs which were running in the Indian societies. These small short-term courses will be embedded in the you can say embedded in the higher educational courses programs, and these will be Lok Vidya courses. Short-term courses will be offered to the students, and these are all Indic centric, India centric. If you talk about vocational education courses, the online mode will also be encouraged in times to come. Now the government has created one committee. That committee is known as National Committee for Integration of Vocational Education under the Ministry of Education, which will be the job of that committee will be to integrate into all schools and higher educational institution vocational education in a phased manner over the next decade. Friend, please try to listen that this policy is not a short-term policy. It has a long-term impact. So if we want to evaluate the impact of this policy, we can evaluate it after 20 years, because this policy will take at least 20 years for implementation. In the next decade, you will find that there will be no segregation of university and deemed university. There will be no segregation. All universities will be known as universities. There will be more collaborations between the industry and academia. The government, these top 100 educational universities from all over the world, they can come and open their campuses in India. So you will find certain foreign universities operating in India in the next decade. So there is going to be a you can say a revolutionary change in times to come. And if we discuss about the characteristic, or you can say the main characteristic of this national education policy, I can say there are four main characteristics. Number one, it is a comprehensive policy because it discusses about the school education to higher education. It is comprehensive. Number two, it is integrated because it is integrating all the streams: art, science, commerce, vocational education. It is integrated. It has adopted an integrated approach. Number three, it is an inclusive national education policy because it takes care of all people, that is SC, ST, OBC, women. All sections of the society have been given due weightage in this policy. And number fourth important you can say point of this national education policy, that it is a revolutionary policy, is sees the future of India. It sees the new India. And if we discuss about the primary education in this national education policy, we know that the gross enrollment ratio at the primary level is up to 85 to 90%. The government of India wants to achieve 100% GER, gross enrollment ratio, up to the year 2030. Friends, a radical change is there. Earlier, the preschools, before class first, there is LKG, UKG, that was not part of the national education policy of 1986. First time the government has included LKG, UKG, means preschooling also in this new education policy. So this is the most important thing, and there is a radical change. 10 plus instead of 10 plus 2, there is 5-3-3-4 model government has adopted. And I found that this foundational stage, preparatory stage, middle stage, and secondary stage, these 4 stages has been divided in a very scientific way, and it can lead to the scientific growth of mind of students of India. NCERT has to play a very important role. NCERT will frame the, you can say, the syllabus for the preschooling up to the class 12th. This responsibility has been given to NCERT, National Council for Educational and Training. There now, instead of SC, ST, OBC, a new term has been used in this educational policy, that is socially economic disadvantaged group, SEDG. So socially economic disadvantaged group. And in last, I would also like to discuss here that, like special economic zones, the government of India is going to create special economic zones in those areas where GER is very low, The government of India has moved fast forward to create special educational zones. As my previous speaker, Honorable P. Damai sir, has already discussed that at the graduation level, the student has now option to leave the course in the first year, second year, third year, and fourth year. There will be a 4-year bachelor degree. In the first year, if the student does his first year, he will get certificate. After second year, diploma. After 3-year degree. And if he completes the 4-year degree course, he will get a research degree. So it is good that, because in India we know that the academic credit, the credit will be accumulated there, and after completing first year, the student has to leave, he can go and work in the industry, and after 2 years, if he comes back, he can continue his study, he can use his academic credit and continue his studies in the higher education. So I think that this is a very good step, because in India, many students, for the purpose of employment, for any other purpose, for any you can say casualty in the family, they have to leave their course in between. And if he completes 2 years, right now the students are not getting any degree. But in this particular national education policy, if the student completes 2 years of his you can say the bachelor degree, he will get certain degree that will be known as diploma. So in order to make India as a global knowledge powerhouse, this national education policy has come with various you can say strategies. As far as strategy is concerned, there are 4 pillars. In the last, at the end, I will discuss only 2 things, that there are 4 organizations, regulatory bodies which we will survive. Number 1, National Higher Education Council of India, whose job will be to regulate the higher education. Number 2, there will be HECG, Higher Education Grant Commission. The job of this council commission will be to grant the funds. Number 3, there will be accreditation body, NAC, the National Accreditation Council. It will accredit the courses. And number 4, there will be a standard setting body. And the government has decided to give 6% of the GDP to the educational sector. This is not very new. In 1986 also, in Kothari Commission also, it was decided to allocate 6% of GDP to the education sector. But only government of India has till now achieved 4.6% of the GDP has been you can say spended on the education sector. So I hope that in the times to come, the National Research Foundation and which is going to give 20,000 crore rupees for research and development. This National Research Foundation, whose chairman will be the Honorable Prime Minister, and the target of 6% GDP of has to be spent on the higher education. These all things is going to make India a super powerhouse. And only two things I would like to discuss, because part of my presentation was the experiences of Korea. So as far as Korea is concerned, friends, South Korea I would like to discuss here, because 96% of the students in South Korea get formal education. So in Korea, which became republic in the year 1945, and after the Korean War, there are the two countries, South Korea and North Korea, came into existence. We know that South Korea is a democratic country. North Korea is not so developed. In South Korea, they came with the vocational high schools and general high schools. They have divided the high schools in general high schools and vocational high schools. From starting itself, there are vocational colleges, polytechnic universities, universities of technology and education, and corporate universities also. So now the universities, the colleges which are working very good in the South Korea, they are designated as ministerial high school, means those vocational colleges which are performing very well. So if you go through the website of the South Korea Education Ministry, you'll find that there was a grand change. There was a structural change in the educational system of South Korea. In 1960, they came with the 5-year National Educational Development Plan. During 1970 to 80, they came with the courses which basically provides a labor intensive and technical intensive industry, the skills which are required for labor intensive products and technical intensive products. In 1990, they cut their you can say they came with the education which provided with the technical and you can say technical and international knowledge. And in 2000, they are now they are offering the courses which can make South Korea as a knowledge hub, and they have included ICT in their vocational education. So at present, if you talk about percentage, 79.3% of the middle schools in South Korea are offering general high school general courses, and 20.7% schools, high schools, are offering the vocational courses. So these are certain things. So you can go through the website of South Korea. The study of South Korea is very important because it is a successful model for all over the world. And as far as I have gone through the new education policy, National Education Policy 2020, I found that this policy has included certain inputs from the South Korean model also. This is my personal view. So friends, I am now ending my lecture here. If you have any courses, if you have any queries, you can ask. So thank you, Mintu ji, for giving me time. I hope 30 minutes have been allocated to me, and I have tried my best to end my lecture on time, 30 to 40 minutes. As far as my conversation with Mintu ji was concerned, he told me that sir, you have got 40 to 45 minutes, and I hope I have consumed my time. So thank you for giving me an opportunity. I have tried to cover all the areas of vocational education. Maybe in 40 to 45 minutes, it is very difficult to cover each and every topic, but thank you to the organizers.
Thank you very much, sir. You have given a very interesting presentation, and also mentioned about very inside stories of new educational policies of India, which are very significant for us, especially on vocational education system, which are not available in our minds. And from your presentation, we learned so many things and earned so many knowledge regarding why we need vocational education, how with vocational education a nation can be developed. Without having proper vocational education, we know very well that development process of a nation cannot be exist. And you have mentioned 4 basic features in your lecture, that is basically the India's new education policy 2020 that you mentioned. It is a totally comprehensive policy and also integrated policy or approach. And even he mentioned as an inclusive policy for all sections of the society. And you also mentioned a revolutionary policy for new India. So it's a very significant features that you mentioned, and I hope that our participants did learn so many things and earn knowledge from your speech and presentation. And actually, the new education policy, as per your concern, we understand that it is a scientific policy for new India. No, you also mentioned that it will take not less than 20 years to develop our country and to make equal our country with foreign development nations like China or USA or European developed nations. That is why your lecture is very significant and important for all of us. Now it's the time for the participants to put their questions on chat box. It is open for all. And if they put any questions, then we can, or any doubt regarding vocational education in India's new education policy, then you can put your question in our chat box so that we can, our research person can interact with you regarding your any doubt regarding his speech. It's the time for, I think there are some questions. I'm just 1 minute. Janto, Janto Kolita.
Yes.
Yes, yes. You please see any
Yes.
question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mintu Pathak. I request all the participants to put their query in the chat box so that we can collect questions and put forward to our resource persons. Just I have collected one questions from the chat box. That is, sir, I would like to put forward this question to you. Is a student having physics, political science, and music eligible for studying MBBS degree? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah. So see, which I have already discussed that the student having physics can opt music, and the question is for MBBS. So you might be knowing that for clearing MBBS, the student need to be have physics, chemistry, and biology as far as MBBS is concerned. So I hope that students not only go through only 3 subjects, but at least 5 subjects right now in every board. So the compulsion of taking English and Hindi, like in because I have gone, I studied from Kendriya Vidyalaya. So I studied mathematics, physics, chemistry, math, English, and Hindi. Maybe English and Sanskrit somebody can take. So instead, English and Hindi will be not compulsory. You can take any two. This national education policy has adopted cafeteria approach. Means student can select the papers of their own choice, and during selection they have to see that whether the topics, the subjects they are selecting, they are relevant for their career goals or not. But not only 3 subjects will be studied by them. There will be more subjects which they have to opt. So instead of opting for English, they can opt for music, or instead of Sanskrit they can opt something else. So that will be not compulsion in time in years to come. Or they can opt music, they can opt visual art, performing arts, anything. So they have to make the basket of subjects by themselves, taking into account their career objective. Because
Another one question.
Yeah.
Another from Dr. Manish Bhatnagar. He asked, our universities that is working with lack of facilities, faculties and minimum competent teachers. How can we think about new education policy?
Dr. Manish
Manish
Bhatnagar.
Bhatnagar.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Manish Bhatnagar. If you have gone through my statement, why India is lacking, I have discussed this during my presentation, during my lecture, why there is a skill shortage in Indian universities. So I have given 3 reasons for skill shortage in India. I have given 3 reasons. Number 1, lack of participation of females in vocational education. Number 2, I have discussed about disparity of classroom knowledge and the practical application, means the subjects we teach in the classroom and the requirement of the industry. And number 3, which you are pointing out, I have already discussed that lack of competent teachers having relevant skills in the classrooms. This I've already discussed. So I hope that because this report, skill development report, has been already published by the government itself, and it has founded out the reason, so it will do something. Yeah.
Jayanta, you please.
Yes, thank you, sir. There is another question from Kanai Paul. Just want to know what are the drawbacks of new education policy 2020? Just
Drawbacks.
yeah.
See, this new education policy has been developed taking into account the drawbacks of the previous policy. So don't you think that because drawback will be, this is a futuristic policy we have discussed, I don't see any drawback. The drawback is that yes, the question which has been raised by the Dr. Manish Bhatnagar. So we need skilled teachers, we need infrastructure, we need fund, we need you can say better facilities. If these things cannot be you can say addressed by the government, certainly this policy cannot be implemented. We will not we will not able to reap the fruits of this new education policy. So these things has to be done. The government has to be very aggressive as far as the teacher recruitment is concerned, skill labs is concerned, as far as the infrastructure part is concerned, regulations are concerned. And I have already discussed that in order to see the benefits of this policy, we have to wait for 20 years. This government has already, this has been given in the policy that it will take 20 years to fully implement this policy. So there are drawbacks. The drawback is that definitely we need qualified teachers. Definitely we need skilled labs. We lack there, and definitely we need the determination of the government to spend 6% of the total GDP on the education sector. Yeah.
Another question from Lightentham Santosh. Is vocational education included for visual and performing artists too in National Education Policy 2020?
Yeah, sure. It is very relevant question. I have already discussed that in the school complexes, friends. I have discussed in my lecture that in school complexes, the expertise of all these type of people, craftsmen, goldsmith, blacksmith, agriculture people, or these music teachers, this will be taken, their expertise will be exploited, and this is going to be part of the new education policy, vocational education, because performing art, or you can say craftsmanship or music, these will be all part of the new education policy. I request you all to go through the 66 pages policy, which is uploaded in English and Hindi on the UGC website. All your questions will be addressed there. Yes, the question the asked is that vocational, the music or what was the question, Mintuji? Music and performing art.
Yes.
Yeah, this will be part of the new education policy. Already BMuse courses are run in BHU, Banaras Hindu University and other universities. BMuse, there are courses on craftsmanship. It is run in BHU. Bachelor courses are offered, Bachelor of Fine Arts. It is already there in the university system, but it will be expanded in times to come. Yeah.
Jayanta, do you have any from your side? Do you find any query? Then one Kamal Khamka, he actually asked a question, but not mentioned like that question. He mentioned, sir, kindly provide the breakup of 4 years of degree / diploma. Breakup of 4 years degree / diploma.
See, the now we have 3-year bachelor degree course. Okay, BA, BSc, BCom. In this new education policy, the degree course will be of 4 years, not 3 years. After 4-year degree course, you can opt for 1-year master degree course, and you can directly go into the research. 4-year, let us see, 4-year bachelor degree course plus 1-year master degree course, and then after that you can enter into the research part, PhD. Okay, if you complete your first year of course, you will get certificate. If you complete second year of your course, you will get diploma. If you complete your third year of your course, you will get a degree. And if you complete the fourth year of your bachelor degree, you will get research degree. After that research degree, you can go for 1 year master's degree, and you can directly enter into the PhD course. This is the breakup: diploma, certificate, diploma, degree, research degree. Yeah.
From Jayanta, your side.
Yes. Just I am searching.
There is a question by Dinesh Gogoi.
Yes.
Dinesh Gogoi, he asked that only within 4 years is it possible to achieve a research degree for a student? How much it is reliable? Dinesh, this 4-year course, after this 4-year course, you have to go for the 1-year master degree course, and then you can enter into the PhD course. Okay, the course name will be PhD degree course, degree research degree course. Bachelor course with research degree, which will be a 4-year. After that, you have to complete your 1-year master degree course, and you can enter into the PhD.
Another question from Another question from Sanjay Kumar. He asked at first put question. He mentioned that vocational education को new education policy 2020 में youth के लिए कैसा useful है?
नहीं, ये तो वोकेशनल एजुकेशन जो है वो संजय जी वो यूथ के लिए ही है, क्योंकि मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया कि भारत में आने वाले समय में जो नौकरियां हैं, सरकारी नौकरी, ये कम होने वाली हैं। सरकारी नौकरी के बहुत ज्यादा, क्योंकि यूथ पॉपुलेशन ज्यादा है। मैंने आपके साथ डेटा शेयर किया कि 2020 में हमारी एवरेज एज हो चुकी है 29 ईयर्स। 15 साल से लेके 59 ईयर्स तक के जो लोग हैं वो लगभग 62% हो चुके हैं। हमारे पास डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड है, यूथ की पॉपुलेशन सबसे अधिक है पूरे विश्व में हमारे यहाँ पे आज की डेट में। तो वोकेशनल एजुकेशन नहीं होगी, लोगों को हम रोजगार नहीं, अब इस पॉलिसी का ऑब्जेक्टिव है स्वरोजगार देना, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स क्रिएट करना, उद्यमियों को बनाना जो दूसरों को रोजगार दे सकें। नॉट जॉब सीकर्स बट जॉब गिवर्स बनाना है इस एजुकेशन पॉलिसी। इसीलिए वोकेशनल एजुकेशन को क्लास 6 से ही एम्बेड किया जा रहा है एजुकेशन सिस्टम में, यूथ की वजह से।
Is there any question from your side?
Yes. There is a question. 30 years of LPG failed to attract more FDI. How you expect more foreign universities will come to India?
हाँ, मैं इसका एक I would like to give one data, friends, कि right now अगर आप देखते हैं तो there are many private universities. I hope in Northeast also there is Amity University, there is a Phai University in Tripura, there are many universities in Meghalaya. So these are all private universities from India. But right now the per capita income of India is increasing. The people are more concerned about the education. If you see the youth population, it is very high. So now in the last 30 years, we have not opened the gates of Indian economy for foreign universities. We have not opened the gates. Now Indian government is going to open the gates of Indian economy for the foreign institutions, and there is a restriction, friend. Only top 100 universities, all ranking universities, we can open their campuses by individually or in collaboration with the Indian universities. Do you, in 1990, friends, we are born in the 80s. Do you think that, can we imagine in 1990s universities like Azim Premji University? Can we imagine the universities like HCL University, Shiv Nadar University? We have seen that corporate houses have established their universities. Like Azim Premji University, they are doing well. There is HCL University in Shiv Nadar University. The promoter of the Shiv Nadar University is HCL. There are Nirma universities there in Ahmedabad, very good university. There is Thapar University in Punjab. So we will see corporate houses coming with universities, and they should come, because until and unless they will not get the equal weightage, there will be not level playing ground in the Indian education system. They should be encouraged so that the public universities, they are compelled to work hard. That is my own personal view. You may not agree.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Is there any
Yes.
question?
Yes,
Done,
yes. This will be the last question because due to time limitations, we cannot continue this session more. So I'd like to put forward this question to our resource person. What about teacher training under new NEP 2020? The question is asked by Mohammed Farid.
Mohammad Fahim ji, the maximum concentration is given on the teacher education. You will see that the government is coming with the school complexes, sharing of the human resource among the schools. Teacher education has been given very much emphasis in this education policy, because government of India knows that until and unless it will not work on the primary education, the this country is not going to be the knowledge hub. It is not going to be super powerhouse of knowledge in the world. So India, this education policy has talked much about the teacher education, much and much. I'm not going to discuss in detail because I have gone through that. Those who are working in Anganwadi, because preschooling is part of this national education policy. These Anganwadi peoples will be given training, like those who have qualified their 12th, they will get 1 year training. Those who are graduate and in Anganwadi, they will get 6-month training, and they will be incorporated as a formal part of the Indian education system. So teacher education has been given more concentration in this new education policy. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. You have given a very delightful as well as very nice presentation regarding vocational education in India's new education policy, and I hope that all the participants, even we, the organizers, including all the faculties and also the host members of our host team, are benefited from your very nice and deliberative presentation. And thank you again and again for accepting our invitation as a research person and you interact our participant very nicely, and so many questions were left because of time, because another research person is waiting to deliver his speech. So thank you again and again, sir, for joining with us. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And now it's the time. One thing I'm going to announce that most of our participant has been mentioned about feedback link. One thing, please remember that we are going to share our feedback link after the second session, not in the first session. So please wait for second session. And now I am going to deliver the floor to Mr. Jayanta Kolita to invite our second research person, Honorable Dr. Santesh Kumar Singh, sir. Please introduce Dr. Santesh Kumar Singh, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mintu Pathak, sir. Thank you, our resource person who have already delivered his speech and enlightened us. And we have already learned a lot from your deliberation. You have intelligently beautifully presented your session, and definitely I hope all the participants have benefited from your session. Thank you, sir, from my side. And now I feel proud and honored to get this opportunity to introduce our resource person for the second session. He is Dr. Santesh Kumar Singh, sir, who is working as an associate professor in the Department of Political Science, Central University of Haryana, Mahendragarh. Prior to this, he was working as a regular faculty in the Department of Political Science at Shahid Bhagat Singh College. He is also an adjunct fellow and associate editor of the International Association for Counterterrorism and Security Professionals, Southeast Asia, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Recently, sir has completed his postdoctorate from United Nations University International Institute for Global Health in Malaysia. As a visiting fellow, he has been at the School of Advanced International Affairs, Johns Hopkins University, Washington DC, the USA for a short period. Dr. Singh is an alumnus of Brown University International Advanced Research Institutes, BI, ARI program. He has been a guest faculty in the Center for US Studies at the School of International Studies, JNU, New Delhi. Dr. Singh obtained his research degree, MPhil, and PhD from the US Studies School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He has been a recipient of junior as well as senior research fellowship of the University Grant Commissions, New Delhi. He has also been a recipient of postdoctoral fellowship of UGC and ICSSR, New Delhi. Dr. Singh has been published several numbers of books in his credit and several articles in reputed referred journals. The most recent books he published is on India's foreign policy continuity with a difference under Modi government. And the forthcoming book is on raising security concern in India, problems and prospects. So Professor Singh has visited several countries to participate in international conferences like the countries like US, Denmark, Norway, Australia, Taiwan, Malaysia, Indonesia, etc. His area of research largely includes international relations, foreign policy, diplomacy, geopolitics, non-conventional security, human security, health security, global health policy, governance, and diplomacy, etc. Despite this, he has also been engaged in writing papers on Indian government and politics, domestic politics, and social issues. So with these brief introductions about Dr. Santosh Kumar Singh sir, I'd like to request him to deliver his speech in this national webinar. Respected participants, today sir will focus on the research and innovation in NEP 2020. Now I request and hand over the platform to Dr. Santosh Kumar Singh sir. Please, over to you.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, J. Kalita, for this nice introduction. And Mintu, you too.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank Raj sir, because he was the person who introduced me to this college, to this team, who is so nice, so kind in inviting me again and again. And that is what called basically, I have become part of your team now. So no longer I am a speaker or resource person for you all. So I consider to myself as part of your college and your team, right?
Thank you, sir.
I would like to extend my hearty thanks to Tangla College and Majbat College for inviting me for this interaction. And again, I would like to thanks Principal Sir Tangla College, Dr. Prasann Dameri sir, and Dr. Abdul Karim sir, President Arts Forum, who has been so kind in inviting me for this interaction. And since I have already been part of this, college for last few days,
Yes, sir.
so I will definitely try my best to maintain this relationship for in future too. So with these words, again I would like to thank Mintu and Jayanta, because both of you are really good organizer and good leader in conducting basically workshop and seminars and talks, interactions. That is a very difficult task for any staff or academician. That is not easy. At the same time, maybe you are good in teaching, maybe you are good academician, but that is not necessarily you are good administrator or organizer or convener. So you both are managing both of the things, right? You are good teacher, I know, I am damn sure, and you both are doing this excellently, organizing seminar, workshop. You all are very frequent. In last 2 weeks, I have seen like you have organized workshops, 2 or 3 talks. That is very great achievement for any institution. So I would suggest and request your principal sir to please promote your young generation, young colleagues, so that they could give a new height to your college. And definitely that will help to students and the entire teaching fraternity of the college, if you are going to do good for your college and your institution. So a lot of things I have already described by my dearest friend Paunesh sir. He is good friend of mine, he is good senior of mine, and he has explained topic, excellently. He has spoke on the topic, and I would like to thanks to sir for giving me that platform to move forward with my topic actually. So national education policy, before going into that, I would like to share my thoughts on few other issues, like why national education policy or education policies are required for any country. That is what we have to understand. Because I think, since Mintu, you are, I think, faculty of political science, am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So we have already been taught, and we have been, studied, like, if you want to control, if you want to run your system, political system, you must influence your own people. There's two ways to influence our people. One is through power, another one is mental power, means knowledge power, which already been described by Paunesh earlier. So we have to be knowledge powerhouse. That is what he described in his presentation. That is absolutely right. That is excellent. But we have to understand, by using power, I mean army, defense, military, police, all these physical power, if agencies are there to use against us, they can run the system for maybe for 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, but not more than that. But if you are running country, your system, your society, by influencing thought process, believe me, you'll run the country for a longer time. Why Britishers survived here for a longer time? Because of their strategy, because of their policy. If they haven't introduced their own educational system here in India in 18th century, so 19th century, they wouldn't have sustained in this country for a longer time. They sustained here because of their education. They sustained here because of the way they made actually the thought process of Indians in 19th century and 20th century. So this is what we have to understand. In that way, we have to actually understand education is important component. Education is the way to influence your people. Education is the way to maintain your legacy. Education is the way to survival. Education is the way of civilization through which we can transfer our values to next generation and next to next generation. This is what we can do through education. If we are losing our control over education, it means we are losing our control over society, or over culture, over values, traditions, history, languages. This is what happening in India. As per the UNESCO report, we are going to lose n number of languages from India because of our managed educational policy. This is what we have done in last 75 years. We were supposed to do a lot of things to preserve our languages, our cultures, values, traditions, which we have been failed in doing so. So we have to do that by implementing, by adopting, by enforcing new educational policy, and which is known as National Education Policy 2020, right? So here I would like to mention few of the facts with you all. That is very much important. Out of this national education policies, I have picked few major important keywords. That is what going to lead this entire national education policy for next 20-30 years. That will shape our society, that will shape our country. So for that, we have to understand how this National Education Policy 2020 is going to influence our idea, our thought process. Here, a few of the terms I am reading, those are used in this National Education Policy with intention. I'm saying which intentions. Intentionally, government and the present, system has used that term in our national education policy, because this government have realized the importance of these terms, which is important for us, which is important for our society, which is important for our nation. If you want to rebuild our country, if you want to rebuild our society, if you want to rebuild our nation, we must focus on these keywords and just quoting those. We have used culture term almost more than 50 times in this national education policy. Mintu, are there? Culture we have used more than 50 times. Values, the term values, we have used more than 46 times. Civilization we have used twice. Ancient education we have used 13 times. This is very much important to understand what is the motive, what is the objective of this National Education Policy 2020. We have used Nalanda, Takshila, and other few ancient universities more than 3 times. At the same time, we have used the term ashram in this national education policy twice. And we have used Guru once, Gurukul once, and Vishwaguru once. That is what reflects the objective of this national education policy. We are going to restore our history, our pride, our culture, our educational system from ancient India. This is what we are trying to establish. I'm saying this, I mean, I'm not declining the importance of modern education. That is there, that should be there. But in soul, but in the core, there should be a clear-cut objective of following Indian model of educational system. We don't need to follow basically westernized education in India. That is what disturbing, derailing the entire society. That is what we are doing in last few years, in last few decades. We are acquiring degrees like anything. A lot of students are acquiring degrees, graduation, post-graduation, engineering, and MBAs we are doing, but that is worthless. The outcome, the job priority, the probability, the skill they are acquiring is not meaningful. That is what we have to think. Since we are being failed in achieving our goal, so this is high time to introduce a new education policy which government have introduced in 2020, right? So in that context, we could say India is going in a right direction. India is going to achieve or acquire its ancient place again in 21st century. So this is what we are going to mix our conventional way of teaching with modern way of teaching, or traditional way of learning with modern way of learning. So our conventional pedagogy we have to include in modern pedagogy, so that we could preserve our values, traditions, cultures, histories, language, so that we could incorporate all the aspects from ancient to modern. What we are having now is given by basically Britishers. Whatever system, whatever modern education we are having now is given by Britishers to us. So this is the time to bring changes. I'm going to quote few other things. I'm going to start my presentation. Here my topic is basically, I will speak on higher education and research in National Education Policy 2020. So I'll focus on that. I will not go out of that. No, I will definitely pick few of the major points from NEP 2020, which are important for us to understand, being a academician, being a student, a scholar. Before that, definitely I would like to explain the status of higher education in India at present. India's higher education system is the world's third largest in terms of basically students. We are third largest number of students having in basically education, next to China and US. Now we are having more than 600, approximately 659 universities and 33,023 colleges we are having at present in India. That is quite huge. But while we compare that with basically person, it is very less. It is not that much. US has least 1/3 population, even below than that. But they are having more and more institutions than us. China is having n number of institutions in comparison of India, but India is not having that much institutions. Definitely we are having good number. While we talk about the number of students, definitely we are third largest in terms of students, but that is not sufficient, that is not enough. Still we have to do a lot of things to achieve our GER, gross enrollment ratio. If you're not achieving that, if you're not going to achieve that, definitely that will be clear-cut failure of government and system political apparatus. And I would like to mention here the first turning point. Before 1970s, education was an subject of basically state. It was not a center subject or not central government. It was only for no state. But in 1972, while we had 42nd Amendment, we brought this education in concurrent list. So now central government is also entitled to pass laws or making rules for education. That's why India government has started making basically this national education policy. And before that, actually, before 1972, in 1968, that was Indira Gandhi who brought that 42nd Amendment in Indian Constitution. She was the one who introduced first national education policy in 1968 because she realized the importance of education. She realized education is the way to bring change in society, deeper changes in the society. So she was foresighted in the context of education. She has started tremendous reforms in education sector, and followed by his own son Rajiv Gandhi. He introduced next education policy, national education policy in 1986, which later in 1992 was reformed because of the changing nature of global politics. In 1991, the collapse of USSR. In 1991, unipolar world came in scene. In 1991, we got LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization came in scene. So we tried to align our education system with basically market, with the commercialization, with the commercial process, with the industrialization process, with the capitalization process, so that we could cope with the requirement of industry through education. That is what the objective of the amendment of 1992, and we were successful. In 1990s, if you ask people what education they preferred in 1990s to get actually, to pursue actually, definitely a large number of people will say they would prefer to achieve basically management, engineering. That was the time. There is huge requirement, there's huge demand of engineers and managers. So at that time, a lot of people, a lot of masses started running after these degrees. So a number of institutions came in scene and get established by capitalist class, by rich people. They opened their own institution to offer degrees. So that was the commercialization of education in 1990s happened very fast, rapidly. That was the time. But the major change happened in 2002 when we introduced Right to Education Act, which clearly stated that the education of the age group of 6 to 14 years should be given mandatorily or compulsory. That is important to give education to all this youth age between 6 to 14 years. And that is what brought a lot of change in context of GER, gross enrollment ratio, that has increased hugely. And aspect we have to understand from the past. In 1950, we had only 20 universities in India, and now that has increased 34 times. Now we are having 677 universities in 2014. I'm quoting the record, the fact from 2014. Despite growing investment in education, we are still having a lot of problem. 25% of its population is still illiterate. Our country is having problem, and only 15% of Indian students reach high school. Just 7% are graduated. Still, just imagine, only 7% students are coming for higher education, means graduation. If we analyze, if we see the post-graduation degree, that is less. If we see the number of students in research, that comes in 0.9, 0.7, 0.6%. So we have to think about that. We have to think how to improvise our quality of education in India. That is something we have to work on basically. What challenges we are facing? Why higher education needs to be reformed, revamped? That is what we have to focus on. A lot of challenges our education, higher education is witnessing, like enrollment, that is got the huge problem. There's only 25% GER in higher education. Equity, there's very less number of disadvantaged group people or students coming in basically higher education. So that is another concern of government to bring changes, to brought basically a lot of things, that if that could be happen, definitely there will be changes in higher education scenario, and the quality we are having is also questionable. Even our minister is saying, no, there's not a single university comes in top 100, even top 200, even top 300 of world universities, world ranking of universities or institutions. That shows how much we are lacking in terms of quality. Infrastructure, we have severe problem with infrastructure. Political interference, we could understand how much we are having problem from political section. There's no political will to implement basically honest and fluent in education policy or educational policies. Faculty, someone has asked in comment box to Paunesh sir, the faculty problem. We are having very less number of faculty in our educational institutions or universities. Accreditation, that's another problem. There's complexity that is very complicated to get accreditation from bodies, government bodies like Bar Council of India, UGC, ICTE. But these institutions, there's a huge problem to get accreditation from these institutions and organizations. Research innovation, we are lacking. I don't know how much of you are aware about the ranking of India in research innovation. We are having 52nd position in research innovation. Means we are still lacking. A lot of problems are facing in research innovation. Means India is holding 52nd rank. We are going to be 5th largest economy of the world, 3rd largest military power of the world, was most largest populated country, was the biggest, the largest democracy of the world, but still in research innovation we are holding 52nd position. That is the issue. If you want to grow, if you want to develop, you must invest in research innovation. That is what another matter of concern for government, matter of concern of people. And structure of commodification of education. That's another important point we have to understand. Education has become an commodity for students nowadays. Means education is on sale. That is what happening. If you have money, you can get degrees. If you have money, you can get MBBS degree. You can money. If you are having money, if you are ready to pay money, you can get law degree from top institutions of India. You can get engineering degree from top institutions of India. This is what we are witnessing. And global competitiveness, we are lacking in global competitiveness because there's not, I have already quoted any university falls in basically top 350 universities. Only thereafter, Indian Institute of Science comes in 351 to 400 category, and 400 above we are having Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai, Delhi, and basically Kharagpur. So a lot of problems we are having in that field. And now I'm going to quote a few other things, which is very much important for us to understand. How much did government get? It means how much government is investing in this higher education. In this higher education, basically, we can understand if we talk about total, allocation, budget allocation on education, we can understand how the seriousness of government, how much serious government is investing money in bringing reform in higher education or in education sector overall. I'm talking in financial year 2014-15, government allotted 82,000 crore rupees. Out of that, 69,000 crore rupees in government spent, and financial year 2015-16, 69,000 crore rupees were allotted by government for education. Out of the 68,000 crore spent, 72,000 crore was being proposed by government in 16-17, and out of that, this is the example when government increased, even spent more. 72 was the proposed budget estimated, but government revised later on 73,000 crore rupees. In 17-18, it was like 79,000, which again increased by government 81,000 crore rupees. In 18-19, 85,000 crore rupees, and government spent allocated basically released 83,000 crore rupees. In 1920, it was like approximately 90,000 crore rupees, and in 2021, for this current financial year, government have allotted 94.5 thousand crore rupees for education. Out of this, approximately 40,000 crore rupees are for higher education. This is what we are going to spend in basically education and higher education. That shows government is how much government is serious. No doubt we are increasing our budget allocation to education, but that is not much. We have to do a lot of things. Even in national education policy itself, government have decided, even fixed target to achieve 6% spending on education, but still we are lagging behind. It is in basically 2021 it is 4.63. So we have to be committed. While we fix our goal, we should invest in that. Saying something and doing something, both are different. If government is saying something and not implementing that in practice, that is clear-cut failure of government. So in that context, we have to be committed, we have to be focused, we have to be assured in making and implementing basically our objectives. And I'm already this is what I'm going to say. In research innovation, those countries which are basically spending much money, they are topping in the list of developed countries. Those countries are developed which are spending much money in basically more money in basically research and innovation. If India is really willing to become a developed country, India needs to be invest much money in basically research and innovation. No doubt, in terms of dollars, I mean dollar, India is India is holding 6th rank. 66 billion US dollar India is spending basically on research and innovation. In terms of, I'm talking about in terms of billions. I'm not talking about percentage. While you go into percentage, you'll see we are lagging far and far behind. There's another fact I would like to say here that's also important. I was reading somewhere like how much India is spending on this what I say expenditures and percentage on per student. This is what we have to understand. In India, you're amazed to know $120 per year, one student, against one student we're spending. In Luxembourg, you must be surprised to know 20,400 US dollar is being spent on 1 year, one student. For a student, they're spending $20,400. In India, that is $120 only. And in the US, $3,600. This is what we have to understand. If you are really willing to become Vishwaguru, definitely we have to spend more money on education sector. If you're not going to do that, if you're not going to allocate that, if you're not going to work in that field, definitely will be failed in achieving our national the goals, the objectives of national education policy 2020. So that is what I have given already, described the background, the foundation of national our educational, education sector in India basically. Now I'm jumping to basically national education policy 2020. How this policy is going to bring changes in our society. That has been approved on 30th July 2020 by government. The committee which was headed K. Kasturirangan that drafted this National Education Policy 2020. And it has another important change brought is the name change. Ministry of Human Resource and Development is now known as Ministry of Education. Because why that has been done? We have to understand. Because that earlier name, Ministry of Human Resource and Development, shows humans as a resource, but that is not right way to see things. Human can't be considered as a resource. Humans are humans. They should be treated as human, not as resource. Earlier, we were preparing, masses and the youth as a resource for industry, for market, for companies, meals. But now we have changed our objective. Rather giving importance to market, we have to give importance to society. Like now we have to give education for knowledge, not for job. I mean, job is important. If you are acquiring, this is what being said earlier. If you are having knowledge, if you are having skill, you get job easily. If not having that, if you are acquiring degree without having a skill, you will be failed in getting job. This is what we need to understand. We all are not a basically resource. We all are basically humans. We should be treated in that direction should be treated in that way, right? So the commitment India is showing is like India has fixed, it showcases India's continued commitment towards making a developed and progressive Bharat. This is what we have imagined in our national education policy by allocating 6% of budget towards education as compared to earlier 4.43%. This is what we are going to change. This is what our aim is. Like government has aimed to allocate 6% budget to education in the years to come. This policy touches upon various fronts, and one such a significant dimension includes focus on higher education and quality research. The new education policy comes with major structural changes within current education system, especially in the terms of higher education and research. Right? So this is what we need to understand. Now I'm going to describe point wise. What point wise? It means higher education, how higher education has been prioritized in National Education Policy 2020. That is what we need to understand. And India moves towards becoming a knowledge society and economy, because that is what India is aiming for in 21st century. India wants to become a knowledge society and economy, and keeping in view the requirements of the fourth industrial revolution. This is what we are aiming. India is going to have fourth industrial revolution in years to come. India's Modi ji has already appealed masses and people to come forward for Make in India, Make for World. This is what we are going to do. Self-reliant India. This is what we are aiming for, and that is in the direction of fourth industrial revolution India is going to witness in the years to come. Increasing proportion of employment opportunities for creative, multidisciplinary, and highly skilled workforce. The higher education system must, at the earliest, be readjusted. This is what I'm reading: readjusted, revamped, and re-energized to meet these requirements. Means this is what government is aiming. We have to readjusted, revamp, re-energize our higher education system for fourth industrial revolution, for making our society a knowledge and knowledge-based society. So this is what mentioned in 9.1, basically 9.1 of the National Education Policy. Is clearly stated that we have to build character. This is what very much important to understand. This is what our education policy aimed for. Now, build character, ethical and constitutional values. Clearly, I am quoting this: intellectual curiosity, scientific temper, creativity, spirit, and service. At the same time, he also talks about interdisciplinarity. This is very much important to understand. Why interdisciplinary? That has already been explained by Paunesh sir earlier. Like, earlier it was that if somebody is studying, if somebody is acquiring degree in BA, he or she should be considered lower in society. That was the perception. अगर कोई BA की डिग्री लेगा तो he is the, oh, ये तो BA किया हुआ. That is the opinion of society. अगर कोई BSc कर रहा है, somebody is doing BSc, oh, you are doing BSc in what subject? Chemistry, wow, great. Mathematics, wow, very nice. This is what being told us. But now in this National Education Policy, that has going to be changed. Now students can opt subjects from sciences, social sciences, arts, humanities, languages, as well as professional, technical, and vocational crafts at the same time while they pursue their graduation. So there's no difference now onwards in the name of science, social science, and all these. Hello? Is it coming? Voice
Yes,
is
sir.
there? Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was there. Interdisciplinary. That is what I was talking about. There's another aspect we have to understand that is very important for us to understand. There's government is trying to have universities in the line of basically clusters. We had to make universities a center of different subjects so that students can come there to get knowledge in various fields wherever they are interested in they can go. Wherever, whatever subject they want to pursue, they can pursue. Means all the options should be given to students without any problem, without creating any problem. If a student want to read or study basically political science, sociology, or sciences, zoology, life science, they can opt papers from across disciplines. So interdisciplinarity is there, interdisciplinary should be there. That is what government has aimed for, is that is clearly mentioned in basically 9.3 of NEP. The purpose of quality higher education is therefore more than simply the creation of greater opportunities for individual employment. This is what I'm quoting, I'm reading from NEP. Means creation of greater opportunities for individual employment. That is not only the objective of government, we are going to create opportunities for individual employment. No, we are going to introduce that for several reasons, several things. It represents the key to more vibrant, socially engaged, and cooperative communities, and happier, cohesive, cultured, productive, innovative, progressive, and prosperous nation. That has mentioned in basically 9.1 of NEP. So at the same time, it also talks about institutional restructuring and consolidation. That is also important point. Building multidisciplinary universities, colleges, higher education institutions, clusters. In report, it clearly mentioned in this NEP, we have more than 50,000 institutions in this country which are having less than 1,000 students, less than 100 students. Can you imagine? We are having institutions with less than 100 students. That is matter of concern. But in this NEP, the government have described we have to have clusters, higher education clusters, institutions cluster, which have at least minimum 3,000 students. That is what called in this called for in this National Education Policy 2020. This is what we are going to have in the days, in the years to come. Ancient Indian universities. That is also another important have been mentioned. We have to basically follow the model of Taxila Nalanda. That is what we have quoted several times in past. Means that is pride for India. We all the time quote that. We had institutions like Taxila Nalanda, but now that is not there. That is not there. We have to restore that. We have to follow that model in India. We have to bring this conventional, traditional educational system with modern education system. Means students can get education of their traditional values, traditional way of learning, and modern way of learning, so that we could reach up to the mark of Taxila and Nalanda. We could establish education up to Taxila and Nalanda, where a lot of foreign students came in past in ancient India to study. But now there's very less number of foreign students in India who are pursuing their education in India. See, this is what we have to understand. This is what we have to change. We have to bring changes in that. So there's another important point in mentioned in basically 10.2. We have to move in that direction so that we could cope up with Ivy League universities, Stanford, MIT University of basically US. Means this educational policy have aimed to have a model of both, means ancient Indian institutions and the model of this present modern top institutions, Ivy League universities, Stanford, MIT institutions. So we could manage some balance between these two. Higher educational institutions will have to play vital role in supporting other higher educational institutions in their development. This is also an objective given to higher educational institutions. If education institution is capable enough in delivering a lot of good qualities, good skills, good degrees, they are supposed to basically support others, other institutions based in rural areas, based in basically backward areas, so that they could also be uplifted. That is what in their development. Community engagement should be there in higher education institutions. Contribution to various fields of practice, faculty development for higher education system, and support to school education. That is what mentioned in basically 10.5. I am just mentioning few important points from our national education policy, and which have deep impact on basically national education system that is going to bring in basically. By 2040, this is also government have aimed all higher education institutions shall become multidisciplinary institutions and shall have student enrollments in thousands. This is what another goal in 10.6. I've already mentioned government is prioritizing basically establishing or re-establishing or reconstructing basically or pride through this Nalanda and Takshila kind of universities. So there's another Meru aim of this National Education Policy 2020 Meru, multidisciplinary education and research university. The policy comes with three different types of research institutions in the place. Type 1, we are going to have world-class research and high quality teaching across all disciplines. Type 2 will focus on high quality teaching across disciplines with significant contribution to research, and type 3 will focus on high quality teaching across disciplines at undergraduate level. This is what you have to understand. Means government is aiming on three different types of universities. Are huge means research intensive universities, and there's teaching universities, TUs, and autonomous degree granting colleges. This is also important because government is aiming basically not to give affiliation to colleges under universities. Am I clear? Means now we are not going to give affiliation to colleges. Rather, giving affiliation to colleges, we should make them autonomous. That is another objective of this NEP. Means so that they could have their own rules, regulations in appointing teachers, in bringing changes in pedagogy, curriculum, in adopting or in bringing basically different rules in basically admission process, in examination, evaluation process. Means that is what we are going to introduce in basically our educational system in the years to come. Means that is another objective of government. And increasing gross enrollment ratio to 50% by 2030. Now we are having 26%. That is what government is aiming for, is 50%. Definitely that is quite high in saying, but if we try honestly, if we can't reach at 50, at least we could go at 35, 40. It means we could jump from 26 to 30, 35, 40. It means there's a positivity in that policy. That is what government is aiming for. That is what government is doing for. Means at the same time, in point 10.9, government has categorically mentioned it is responsibility of both public and private sector to come forward in shaping India's higher education and research innovation. Means both are expected to spend money in this. Both are expected to come forward to restructure India's higher education. Means that is what is the need of time. Paune sir have already mentioned that in his speech. Like, no, we are having good number of private universities like Global Jindal University, Sivnadar University. We are having good number of private universities in India. So why we don't promote them? We should promote them. At the same time, it also talks about Indian universities should go out of India to have their own campuses, so that we could show them what kind of education system India is having, so that people could come India for studies, for education. At the same time, we are also opening our country so that universities, those universities which are holding ranks in top 100 can come in India to establish their own campuses, and we could get benefit from them. There's competition is needed. I've already mentioned somewhere few days back, before 1990, while we introduced basically in 1990 LPG, a lot of people have started shouting against government. Why government is going for privatization? Why government is going for commercialization? That is going to snatch our job. But that is not reality. We have brought a lot of changes in 1980s. Before 1990, we had Fiat and scooters. Mintu, this is very interesting thing we have to understand. फिएट जिसको हम लोग हमेशा धक्का दे के चलाते थे, स्कूटर ऐसा आता था जिसको हम झुकाकर ही किक मारते थे, दो बार झुकाते थे फिर किक मारते थे, स्टार्ट होता था.
Yes, sir. Yes.
But after the changes in 90s, what happened? The same scooter you can start from remote. The same Fiat you can start from remote. That is happened because of competition. There should be competition. If the good quality of universities are going to have campus in university in India, definitely other campuses, other institutions are going to have changes in their own system, so that they could compete with global institutions, so that they could go for rankings, higher rankings in world ranking. So that is what we had to have in our country. Why can't we have? Why India should not introduce in our country? That is required for our growth and development. At the same time, this higher education policy clearly stated ODL, or distance learning, should be promoted. Online programs should also be offered, because a lot of people don't want to get or acquire degrees on regular basis. They are doing job, they are doing their own business, they have their own compulsions. For that, they should be given no chance to have their studies, higher studies. So for that, government have categorically mentioned, like it will promote ODL online programs in the years to come, which has mentioned in 10.10 of NEP 2020. And it has also mentioned autonomy to institutions 10.11. By 2025, the maximum number of colleges that can be affiliated by government, this is what I already discussed, university shall not exceed 300. Means this is what government has aimed for. Means by 2025, government is trying to de-affiliate basically the colleges if the number is more than 300 to a university. Means government is trying to reduce the number of affiliation of colleges, so that the colleges could be given autonomous status, right? This is what government is aiming for. The present complex nomenclature of HEIs in the country as deemed to be university, this is very much important. A lot of students have query, even to me, a lot of questions comes, like what is deemed to be university, what is affiliating university, what is affiliating technical university, what is central university, what is state university, what is unitary university. Man, a lot of names are there. Why that much? All the institutions have same objective: to provide education, to provide degree, to provide diploma, provide certificate. So why we are having so nomenclature in that? That makes confusion to students. So it's better to make things clear. So this time government have clearly stated that all the this nomenclature is going to replace by university only. And this is what are very much important to understand towards a more holistic education. This is what this new education policy and national education policy talks about. A comprehensive holistic arts education will develop all capacities of human beings: intellectual, aesthetic, social, physical, emotional, and moral. That is the objective. Means in an integrated manner. 11.3 of NEP clearly stated that. Means our students should be prepared intellectually, aesthetically, socially, physically, emotionally, morally. That should be done. A holistic arts education, as described so beautifully in India's past. This is what we are inheriting from past, is indeed what is needed for the education of India to lead the country into the 21st century and the fourth industrial revolution. That is what I've already mentioned. That is what written in 11.4. Pedagogy for courses will strive for significantly less rote learning and increased emphasis on communication, discussion, debate. This is what government wants to promote: communication, discussion, debate, research, and opportunities for cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary thinking process. And the flexible and innovative curriculum shall emphasize on offering credit-based courses and projects on the areas of community engagement. That has also aimed in this NEP: community engagement and service, environmental education, value-based education. If you remember, till the time Supreme Court had directed UGC to bring an compulsory course on environment, there was we haven't any course on that. That is what we had to think. Why we should always get instruction from court to introduce changes? That is what we have to understand to time. We have to analyze our courses, our requirements. Environmental issues, environmental education is need of time. So that should be there in our basically educational system. The value-based education, first time we have talked about value-based education, what it should include: developing. This is what I'm mentioning. That's very much important. Government is aiming for is include developing humanistic, ethical, oral, and universal human values of truth. I'm mentioning Satya, Shatya, peace, Shanti, non-violence, ahimsa, righteous conduct, dharma, and love, prem, citizenship values, and also life skills in personality development, teaching, learning, and governance. This is something we had to understand. Government is aiming all should be introduced, incorporated in our educational system, in our pedagogy, in our curriculum. Means so that our students, our young generation, our youth could follow this principle of Satya, principle of Shanti, Ahimsa, Dharma, and Prem. Lessons in Seva service. This also mentioned. It's also responsibility and duty of each one of us. Seva and service. Lessons in Seva service and participation in community service programs will also be considered an integral part of holistic arts education. That's very much important to understand. Means only getting education for yourself is not good. This is what we all are doing. We are acquiring degree to get job so that we could get good money. But that is not the right way to see the education. Education is for seva, for service, to serve our community, serve our nation, serve our society. That will be the real success of education. If you're not able to do that, it means we are losing our youth, or we are losing our hope. Right? Mintu, am I crossing my
Yes,
limit?
yes,
Time
sir.
limit?
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay. No, I'm talking like I'm following my
No, sir, you
time
can go
limit.
for 10 minutes more, sir.
Okay, that's fine. No problem. So there's another important point we have, which have already been described. I'm not going to quote that. Means this time government has aimed, aligning research with academic programs. Means government is aiming to bring, young generation, basically to bring, academic programs with research, so that young generation could get trained, skilled in research, doing research. We are lacking in that field, so we could succeed in that field by providing them an attitude, research attitude. Someone has now asked a question in chat box a few minutes back, like, sir, is it possible to give research degree in 4 years? So I am here to clear, there's nothing like that. Government is not aiming to give the research degree. Government is going to give you insight on research during your graduation. If you want to pursue higher research, you can pursue. You can go into basically post graduation. You can go into PhD degree. Means government is aiming for that. But at least if you want to know basics of research, so that you don't need to produce thesis and all these, so you can at least have basic idea on research, how to do research, and what is research, and how that is going to help society, and how, means a lot of questions you can get answer of those questions during your graduation. Keeping research in focus, government has aimed 3 different models. First, it suggests continuing with 2 year. I'm quoting here. Government has proposed master's program with 3 different modes. First, it suggests continuing with 2-year master's program, but the second year will entirely be devoted to research. And this program will be offered to those students who will have attained the 3-year bachelor's degree. Second, 1-year master's program will be offered to those students who will be completing a 4-year bachelor's program with research. This is important. Third, there could be an integrated 5-year bachelor's master's program with research. And this time have also decided to scrap Master of Philosophy degree. So this is what we are going to have in coming days. NRF, National Research Foundation, this another proposal government has given. This is basically the goal of this body, National Research Foundation, 18.1 to 18.9. The goal of this body will be to promote and expand research and innovation, along with funding and seeding research in universities and colleges across the country. An institution dealing with research is likely to put research and development on a path of long-term sustainability and rapid growth, thereby broadening the existing research horizons and filling the existing gaps. Furthermore, the NEP also talks about developing active research communities across disciplines to increase resource efficiency, both material and human. This NRF will be established by an act of parliament, providing it greater credibility and legal authority to promote research within the country. I'm not explaining because that has already been explained by my earlier speaker, or earlier speaker Pondes have already described that, so I'm reading that. The institution would be given an annual grant of 20,000 crores, which is approximately 0.1% of the GDP, and expected to be increased. That is what a token amount, 20,000 crore, which will be increased progressively over the years, considering the level of development in research. Okay. Government has also aimed for also mentioned Mission Nalanda and Mission Takshila. That is what we have to understand. As part of Mission Nalanda, the plan is to establish a minimum of 100 research-based universities and 500 high quality universities by 2030. No, that is a difficult task to achieve. But there is technical issue we have to understand. Government is aiming to establish 100 research-based universities and 500 high-quality universities. It means the existing universities which are already existing here can be transformed into research-based universities or high-quality universities. It is not necessary for government to bring new universities, establish new universities, to set up new universities. That comes, government will definitely go into that direction. Government will have new universities, introduce and launch new universities, but at the same time, the existing universities will also transform in basically research-based universities and high-quality universities to achieve that goal by 2030. This will be a promote research on a wider scale, make the system inclusive, and promote research interest and progress of scholars and faculty. As part of this mission, there will also be strong focus on Indian knowledge system, promotion of Indian languages in research, and greater emphasis on traditional Indian values. The purpose is to bring to the front of great richness and diversity rooted within the Indian system through research, and that would also facilitate in the making of global reputation for India. Means government is somehow trying to promote such universities so that we could focus on research and innovation. Right? So there's another important Mission Takshila. What is the objective of Mission Takshila? This is very much important to know. Is at least one high quality residential institute in or close to every district in India. That is aimed for. Means there should be at least one residential high quality residential institute in all the districts across India. That is also aiming. Means that is also important for us. There's another important point in this, which is going to have deep impact on our higher education system, is governance, leadership, and regulatory system in higher educational institutions. We are going to have a new set of governance, leaders, and regulatory system in higher education. There's a term BOG introduced, launched in this board of governance, that will be there in all the higher educational institutions, and that will be the higher authority in any of the universities to take decisions, to elect administrators, to elect basically governance. So board of governor will be the higher body in any of the institutions. And the another important body government described as National Higher Education Regulatory Authority will be set up to regulate in a light but tight way. It means that will be where the process will be simple, but the observation will be very tight. Means it will keep its eyes on all the educational institutions. If once you get affiliated with this and HERA, definitely you should be following. You are supposed to follow all the conditions imposed by National Higher Educational Regulatory Authority. So that is going to bring changes. Means we are going to remove n number of institutions from our educational system. Like we are going to AICT, we are going to remove ICSR, ICHR, ICPR, UGC. These are no longer going to exist. These are going to be merged with this NHERA. National Accreditation Authority will be there, which will give accreditation to basically institutions, and General Educational Council also be there to decide national higher education qualification framework. And also talks about Higher Education Grants Commission. This is also going to be introduced. So I am going to mentioning, my friends, this institution is going to be very critical. So now it will not easy for us to to get basically loan from government now. Means there will be a very dedicated institution now for funding. Namely Higher Education Grants Commission. Means UGC will not be there, but Higher Education Grants Commission will be there, which will fund you, which will grant loan to universities. Means we are going to have changes in that. Means accountability should be fixed to all the institutions. Means the casual approach of institutions will be changed now. Means taking money from government and doing their own manmani type of काम they are not going to be allowed. That is not going to be allowed. If you are taking money, you should be accountable for that. So that is what going to bring change in our education system. There's another important National Education Alliance for Technology need that will be higher authority basically to bring changes in technological sector of education, higher education system. Means in higher education system, this NEP 2020 clearly talked about, means we are going to bring a lot of changes in this technology enabled education system, and that will be done by NEET, National Education Alliance for Technology. That will be higher authority to provide you all kind of help in establishing technological system in your institution. And there's another important point I have to mention: establishing an apex advisory body for Indian education and Indian education service. That is what also been described, Indian education service. First time government have any national education policy mentioned this. We are going to have Indian education service. Maybe in the days to come, government can give this education service to basically UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, or any other body. Means we are going to have a new body in that. There's another important point, very short, very important, is means promotion of Indian languages, arts, and culture, so that India need to show how it is incredible. India is incredible. Is we need to show that world community. We need to reflect that through our educational system. Means for that, what we need to do, we have to promote, we have to incorporate Indian arts and culture in basically our educational system. Languages should be promoted. 22.3 it has categorically mentioned, because we are losing n number of languages in India. This is time to restore all those languages, and we have to build our past glory through languages. At the same time, it also talks about we have to introduce, we have to give knowledge and education, and we have to align Indian traditional music system, music education, arts, crafts, and languages, all these in basically our education system. Conclusion, I am going to conclude now, and that is basically what India is going to do by bringing all the changes in national education policy 2020. India should be promoted as a global study destination. This is what India is aiming for, providing premier education at affordable costs and restore. A lot of people are saying and shouting India is going to privatize this sector, education sector. Definitely privatization will be there. We are going to see that. But at the same time, government will be there, public sector will be there. So no need to worry for that. Means we are going to make balance between all these, public to private, public and private. What Paunes have already mentioned earlier, government is willing to provide cheap education is cheap fees and cost basically to basically underprivileged society or section of people who those are underprivileged to acquire education, so that they could also be given equal opportunity in education. So that with the National Education Policy 2020 and its specific provisions pertaining to higher education research, the research and development sector, India is going to benefit immensely. So that is what I wanted to explain. Definitely, if there's any question, I would love to answer. Thank you.
Jayanta Kolita. Hello, Jayanta Kolita.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Sama sir, for your nice presentation. You have already covered all the part of the NEP 2020, especially on research and innovation. So I think the participants have enlightened from your deliberations, and now I request, it is the time of interaction. So I request all the participants to put their query. And I also request you all to, if you any participants want to put your query directly, then please raise your hand so that our host can allow you to unmute yourself. And we will also going to collect questions from chat box. Yes, Dr. Shyam Pandey is raising hand. I request Ornab Setia to allow him. Ornab Setia. Ornab Setia, please allow
Yes, sir.
Dr.
I
N.K.
allowed, sir.
Okay, okay. Dr. N.K. Sharma.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. See, I have one question.
Yeah, please.
See, this NEP 2020, how it is better than our current educational system?
How this is?
Yeah.
Sir, we have already described now
Yeah.
what kind of system we are having, whether we are able to provide job to our generation, that is what, whether we are able to skill our youth, whether we are able to achieve our target,
Sir,
means
sir,
GER, gross enrollment
yeah.
rate. Just listen me, means we are having a lot of problem, and there's another big problem we are having is the no we are not having any values in our education system. That is another issue we have to address. Actually, that is more important for us. I have already mentioned in my presentation. Initially I said this, and it clearly stated several times the terms like culture, civilization, values, ancient education, Nalanda, Taxila, Ashram, Guru, Gurukul, Vishguru. This is what I have already said initially. That is what we are aiming for. Means our educational system with Indianness, means there should be Bharatiyata in that. That is what we are lacking. We are definitely, we are giving degree to our youth, our generation, but that there's some problem in that. Is still we are not able to provide them knowledge. That is somehow we are providing them basically no we are preparing them for market only. No, that is for industries, but that is not right. That is not the objective of your education. Definitely that is, but that is one component of education. We are leaving, we are ignoring several things, but that is what we have to focus on. So in that sense I could say definitely this new NEP is going to bring a lot of changes while we compare it with 1986 NEP, right? So while we compare, definitely this is quite huge question how that is, there's a difference between these two. That while we compare these, definitely we'll have another NEP. So I propose, I would say, Mintu to organize another webinar on that because that is a very big topic.
Again, Jandra.
Yeah. Hello, sir. I have a question.
Yeah.
Like you said that NEP is striving for the Indianness in the curriculum. As far as, and the three isms are actually considered, and that is the values that could be inculcated would be basically from the Hinduism concept, and little from the Jainism concept, and little from the Buddhism concept. Apart from this, nothing has been considered. Like as in the other previous policies, they were so secular. Okay. So what have you to say about this?
Yeah, Vahidaji, thank you for a question. But I haven't, found any term like Hindu in this NEP 2020. So I'm so sorry to say that.
No. In the sense, the values from Puranas,
No.
Veds.
No. Where you have studied this Puranas and Vedas in this NEP?
No. In the morning only, I had attended one webinar, and in that it was said that the curriculum.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that. This NEP 2020, there's nothing like that. What you are talking about, Indianness. In this, that is objective. Indianness includes all the values, including Hindus, Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, or Islamism. We can't say there's no that is going to ignore a particular culture or values. So we are going to incorporate all the values, Indian values, in that. So I don't think there's any word used in this NAP 2020. If somebody has said that, definitely that question can be asked to him.
I had asked that question to him, but then my question was not answered.
So that is wrong. That is wrong.
My question was
But
not answered.
I haven't found that anywhere. There's what the objective is. Incredible India, the glory of India. That is what we have to restore.
No, that is absolutely fine, because India has such a beautiful glory.
Yeah, exactly.
And it has always projected
if somebody is saying that, it means he hasn't, he hasn't studied this NEP 2020. Without reading that, he is talking about that.
Yeah, because
Yes.
it was in the morning's webinar only that I happened to hear to it, and I was shocked to listen to this. And
Yeah.
secondly, what are the compulsory languages that are to be taught in the primary and the secondary level?
There's nothing like that. There's no compulsory languages. All the languages will be, the option will be given to students. The student can opt their own languages. This is what government have said, particularly in this NEP, in part 1, primary education. It clearly said anyone can choose any language. Means it depends on the state government to formulate or implement their own national, state educational system in order to their own language. So if Odisha government wants to introduce education in Odia, they can. Bengali can Bengali, and in Assamese, in any language, state government can offer basically education to students. So there's nothing like compulsory. Compulsory is
Because,
nowhere.
sir, I have also read the draft of NEP, wherein it was stated very clearly that the languages such as Sanskrit, Pali, and Ardha Magdi, these are the languages which will be made compulsory so as to make them alive. So what have you to say about it?
No.
Sandesh ji,
Yes.
as far as Waida Khan is concerned,
Yeah.
there is no such word which has been written as compulsory.
Yeah. That is what I was wanted to say.
But yes, but one thing I would like
We
to
are happy.
add,
Sir, it's
one
nice
thing
to. It's
No, no,
nice to know.
one thing I would like to add that yes, Sanskrit will be promoted.
Yeah.
Local languages will be promoted. They will be promoted. They will be given preference, but they will be not be compulsory subject.
Yeah. That is what I also wanted to say. There's nothing like compulsory. Government has aimed to promote basically those languages which have been left in basically society. So we have to restore that again. So not only Sanskrit, other languages too.
And I think that I want to add one thing. There is lot of knowledge in the Sanskrit language. Lot of things are there. Many computer people who are in USA, they are researching on that. And it should be promoted in India also. Yeah.
Honest, sir, I am asking. There's no politics on language. All the languages are having a lot of information. So all the languages should be given priority, and government is doing so. Government is trying to restore our Sanskrit because it has a lot of knowledge, information, scientific perception. That's why government has mentioned that in NEP. There's nothing else
This is the first time that the regional language and mother language is going to get the real you can say value in this education policy.
Yeah, exactly.
At the local level, at the primary level, the mother language, mother tongue will be promoted, and this is very good.
Yeah. Ajanto?
Yes.
Any more participants?
Hello, sir.
We are going to ask question from chat box.
Yeah, just one question from one person is raising hand. Please, anyone put their question directly?
We may have continue our discussion. We don't have.
Sir.
Yeah. Please.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Actually, I just want to know, like it has been mentioned in the NEP 2020 that specifically is there for vocational education. But what kind of syllabus will be included in the vocational education?
Yeah, Pone sir, that question good for you.
What are the different subjects which will be included?
Yes. What are different subjects in vocational education? Yes.
Like there will be subjects like entrepreneurship. There will be subjects related with agriculture, craft, music. There may be the subjects like some subjects which are taught in the polytechnics, like engineering, fitter, the subjects related with the trade required, the skills required for fitter. There will be subjects related with gardening also, even gardening. So there may be array of subjects, not a single array of subjects.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, there will be array of subjects.
And then Another question I will ask. There's been mentioned in the NEP 2020 that up to grade 5, we should teach in the school with the local language. But suppose if in the school, in the city or in the town, where students come from different background with different languages, how will we manage to tackle or take classes in that way?
No, see, now also there are various models. Like there are local schools where local languages are adopted in Kendri Vidyalayas. There are teaching in English and Hindi. So that model will have to be adopted by the state government, because education is in the concurrent list. This has to be developed by the state government also. There will be some central government schools where the options will be there, and the state government will decide the local language, mother language, and in addition to that, other languages will be offered. Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I want to ask that from where to get the authentic NEP 2020 document, full document, authentic
It's available
document.
on Ministry of Education, Ministry of Education, Government
On
of India.
UGC website also. On
It's
University
also available on UGC website. Yeah.
UGC website.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, please.
Now we are going to put some questions from chat box, sir.
Yeah, please, Mintu.
Because they have put it so many questions. If we don't give them chance, then they may be. But one Lekha Sandra Rai, she asks, sir, from which session NEP 2020 is going to be implemented? Will it raise the language problem in India?
Language problem, we have already replied. There's no problem. Government is not going to impose anything like that, and the policy will be implemented from this coming session only. Phase wise, I mean the total, in our totality, few of the things government is going to change. That has already been started. The name of Ministry of Human Resource Development have been changed, Ministry of Education. So with this, we have already started implementing National Education Policy 2020, right?
Yes, sir. Another question, Bidut Deuri. She asks, sir, prior to NEP 20, our education system compelled students like monkey to swim in the water and fish to climb on tree. But NEP 20 will make it reverse. Your opinion, please, sir.
That is personal opinion. We can't help her since she is asking question like that. She has the their own she has their own arguments on that, perception on that. So we can't help. But this is not what we think. We think like in the years to come we are going to have
this time
changes.
Peji, this time first time which I
sir.
have, yeah, Mintu ji, this is the first time the government is going to adopt the cafeteria approach. The question has been raised very pertinent. It is very pertinent question. Now it is a student centric policy where the student can decide their own subjects. So there will be a lot of flexibility for the students in selection of the subjects. There will be no compulsion in that. So in that way, there is a great freedom to the students now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. There's a question in YouTube. What is the exact difference between teaching universities and autonomous degree college as proposed in NEP 2020? This question is asked by Poonam Jha.
Teaching universities will have research facilities too at the same time. They will not fully dedicated or focused on basically teaching. They will have both. But autonomous colleges will be much focused on basically teaching and learning processes, not on research. That is what difference between these two. And research intense, there will also be teaching. In research intense universities, it doesn't mean there will not be any kind of teaching. Teaching work will go side by side. Teaching and research will go side by side. But in same story is there, but the priority, the importance will be given research in research intense universities, and the teaching will be given priority in teaching universities. And in autonomous colleges, they will also have permission to conduct their own. At the same time, I would like to mention here, they have their own policies, autonomous, they can have their own syllabus, or way of recruitment and the way of examination and way of revising their own syllabus. All these can be done in colleges. Means they will be autonomous in doing a lot of things, and other things are also there. Means the size of the size of geographical size of colleges will be smaller than universities. Universities will be quite big campuses, but colleges will be the smaller. That can be in any town or smaller places in blocks, but universities are quite huge and big. So in that sense, there will be difference. But in educational system, I don't think there will be major change in that. There will not be major. Means the entire system is connected. All are related with education. So we can't say there will be a distinction. We can't identify the distinctions on what basis government is going to separate that. Education is the linkages which will connect all these research and teaching and autonomous institutions, colleges. I mean, so that can be done.
From Mohammad Mumtaz Alam. Does 2 years B.Ed will given preference instead of 4 years integrated B.Ed course in new education policy?
Can you repeat, Mintu?
Does 2 years B.Ed will given preference instead of 4 years integrated B.Ed course in new NEP?
I think, Honest sir, have you studied anything? Because it's a degree specific.
Yes, sir.
B.Ed. I don't think so, because government is going to bring changes in all the graduation level degrees. So I don't think there will be 2 years B.Ed degree anymore. Government is
Sandesh, the 4-year integrated degree courses will be offered to those students who complete their intermediate course. Okay, so many universities are going to start already. This course is running in various universities. 4-year integrated course. After class 12, you can opt that. For 2-year B.Ed degree course, you need to be a graduate. You need to be a graduate. I hope that in future this B.Ed degree courses will be offered by most of the universities after class 12th onwards itself. Because if the student is opting for a teaching career after class 12th, if he is clear that he need to be a teacher, I think that his vision is clear, he'll be a good teacher. He or she will be a good teacher. So B.Ed integrated course will be promoted in future after class 12th.
Even in higher education section, there's a unit, dedicated unit on this teachers training, teachers education, which categorically mentioned to give a special training to all the teachers who are going to teach in basically primary schools and secondary and higher secondary schools. So that is there. Due weightage have been given in this NEP 2020 to this teachers training.
So, check from YouTube.
Yes, there is another question in YouTube. I have just like to put forward. Question is asked by Farid Khashana. Is already trained teachers are able to teach in new 4 years of teachers training colleges?
What?
Is already trained teachers are able to teach in new 4 years of teachers training colleges?
If they are fulfilling the criteria and eligibility criteria of government, definitely they can teach. If they are not, they will pursue other qualifications to go into that. So we can't say what will be the policy of government. So that is technical kind of question that will be redefined by government in days to come. So we have to wait for that. What government is going to that? Definitely somebody has acquired training in that, they will be given preference. But at the same time, what government is going to say in the days to come, we have to wait for that.
See, friends, already plan has come, policy document has come. Now strategy has not been disclosed. So we will find some strategy by the government. The strategy need to be crafted for implementation of the policy. So it is yet in 66 pages, it is not clear how it will be implemented. Some guidelines have been given. This is a policy document.
So, this is policy document. A lot of the functional things, operational things is about to come, is yet to come. That's why government is asking me, Ministry of Education is asking you to submit your observation and comments and suggestions to implement the national education policy. So that is what we have to do in future. So a lot of questions are there. We have to discuss. We have to deliberate on. So I think these questions are important for us to think about. If you have any suggestion, you can send that to Ministry of Education, right?
One from Satbox, Anjali Chaudhary. She asks, in India, still skilled candidates are unemployed. Will the NEP ensure employment to all skilled candidates in India in near future?
That is what Pondes have already mentioned. He will give answer of that. But I would like say, government is not going to train you to get job. Government is going to train you to so that you can be a giver of job, not a taker of job. So government have aimed for entrepreneurs, not for job seekers. So that is the objective of governments. You should have your own business or your own entity in your local town, in your own local market, city. You can have your own small business. Why you are thinking for job? That is what government is thinking, trying to propose.
Friends, I would like to add with Dr. Santesh ji. I have already shared some data with you that the chairman of the NESCOM, Mr. Amit Agrawal, okay, he has already shared one data that there is a lack of 7,80,000 professionals in the field of big data analysis and artificial intelligence.
Yes, exactly.
The Indian youth force is not capable to fill this particular gap. And I have shared you data of 2019 is skill report that only 45.6% of the total graduates are employable. Today also they have degree, but they are not equipped with the skill sets which is required by the industry. And as Santesh ji has already told that the NEP document has not come to prepare the job seekers. It is for job givers. Government is going to create ecosystem, like government is promoting Mudra Yojana, government is promoting Startup India, Stand Up India programs. The government wants that most of the youth, they should now be diverted towards entrepreneurship, towards the self-employment. Now the job seeking should not be the purpose of the education. It should be job givers. And if you go through the data of USA or developed nations, all those developed nations, you'll find that most of the youth, or in Israel also, most of the youths, they are means diverted towards entrepreneurship or startup activities. So if we want to be a developed nation, we need more entrepreneurs. Because I am a professor of management, I do encourage it. I am already an employee, but I promote that most of the students should now divert towards entrepreneurial activities. Yeah.
Janta, please say any.
Thank you so much, sir. To both our resource persons, you have already addressed so many questions that we have put forward to you, and due to time limitations, we cannot continue this session. So we apologize for that to the participants, that though there are so many questions in the YouTube and also chat box, but there is a time limitation, so we apologize and sorry. And now I request Mr. Mintu Pathak sir to carry forward the next part of the agenda. Over to you, please.
Thank you, Jayanta Kolika, and thank you very much, sir, Dr. Pavnesh Kumar sir and Dr. Santesh Kumar Singh sir. Both of you have very nicely presented your lectures, as well also interact with the participant directly and from also Satbox and YouTube. And due to lack of time, Jayanta Kolika already mentioned that we could not forward our program more and more, and it's the time for our vote of thanks, and which will be delivered by our Arts Forum Secretary, Dr. Satyendra Kumar Sharma. And now I am going to transfer this flow to Dr. Satyendra Kumar Sharma. Please check he is available or not, please. Oruna. Dr. Satyendra Kumar Sharma, am I audible to you? Hello.
Yes. Am I audible, Mintu?
Yes. Dr. Satyendra Kumar Sharma, as Secretary, Arts from Tongla College, Tongla. I request him to offer vote of thanks to the entire participants, as a research person and all. Please go ahead. Sir.
Good evening to all. Myself, Dr. Satyendra Sharma, Secretary, Arts Forum, Tongla College, Tongla, is going to extend my vote of thanks to all. First of all, I extend my gratitude to Dr. Prasen Doimari sir, Principal of Tongla College, come inaugurator of today's national webinar. We are thankful to him for giving us the permission to conduct today's webinar and for inaugurating the program with his short but useful and encouraging speech. Secondly, I extend my gratitude to Dr. Abdul Karim sir, President Arts Forum, for readily agreeing for this important webinar and for his lucid welcome address. Then I express my thankfulness to Dr. Gitali Sharma, ma'am, Coordinator IQSC, for her continuous encouragement. My special gratitude goes to both of our resource persons, the backbone of today's program, Professor Pavnes Kumar, Dean and HOD of Commerce Department, Mahatma Gandhi Central University, Bihar, for his presentation on scope of vocational education in the new education policy 2020. Sir, normally we give less importance on vocational education, which is the backbone of the economy of a nation. So thank you, sir, for nicely focusing on this field. Then I express my gratitude to Dr. Sandesh Kumar Singh, Associate Professor, Department of Political Science, Central University, Haryana. Sir, you have beautifully and in simple way focused on the research and innovation provisions of the new education policy 2020. I do hope your presentation have able to give a clear idea on this field to our participants, and they will be able to avail the benefits. We are happy that you have associated with our college family. Thank you, sir. My special gratitude goes to all the participants, faculty members from different universities, colleges, institutions, schools, and their students and persons from different fields all over the country for your overwhelming response and spending your valuable time with us till last. Your active participation have made our webinar fruitful in real sense. I extend my thankfulness to all the organizers, especially Professor Mintu Pathak, coordinator of today's webinar, former HOD, Department of Political Science, Tongla College, Tongla, Professor Jayanto Kolita, Joint Coordinator and HOD, Department of History, Masbat College, and Mr. Arunav Setia, Technical Expert, Dibrugarh University. Your active cooperation and engagement have played an important role in making the webinar successful. Last but not least, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all the faculty members and students of Tongla College and Masbat College for your kind cooperation. Thank you. Now, I hand over the platform to Professor Mintu Pathak to proceed further.
Thank you, Dr. Satyendra Kumar Sharma, for your giving a very nice vote of thanks to all our resource person as well as principal sir, inaugurator, and Dr. Abdul Karim sir, as well as all the honorable participants and also the members of hosts of two colleges, Tongla College as well as Masbat College. Thank you very much. And here is an announcement that Tongla College and Masbat College, especially IQAC of Tongla College and GU Ideal of Tongla College Study Center, in collaboration with Department of Education Masbat College, again is going to organize another national webinar, which is very significant for the for all, that is intellectual property rights and cybercrime. And basically over this main theme, we have given two sub-themes, that is global significance of intellectual property rights today and laws and precautions. And in this national seminar, our two resource person that has been invited from our state of Assam. One is Dr. Ramesh Chandra Barpatra Guhai, Advocate General, Government of Assam. Another is Dr. Nilutpal Deka, Advocate and Cybercrime Specialist, Guwahati High Court. And so we request all the honorable participants, also the guests and all other honorable members to join day after tomorrow, same time, 30 August, this national webinar will be, we are going to organize. And after that, thank you very much to all of you. And now I am going to transfer this platform to Mr. Jayanto Kolita to conclude the whole webinar.
Thank you, Mr. Mintu Pathak. On behalf of the Masbat College fraternity, I would like to take this opportunity to convey my heartfelt thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this webinar. I offer my gratitude to Dr. Pradeep Kumar Sharma sir, Principal Masbat College, and Dr. Prasan Doimari sir, Principal Tongla College, for giving us permission to arrange this national webinar and for your enthusiastic support. It is our pleasure to host all about 2,300 esteemed participants and dignitaries of this national webinar join across the country and interact on this vital topic. So only because of your participation, this webinar become a grand success. Thank you all for your participation and cooperation. Next, I would like to offer my sincere gratitude to Dr. Santosh Kumar Singh sir, who is associated with us since the last workshop, and also Dr. Pabnes Kumar sir, for your nice deliberation, and you have beautifully presented and nicely explained our whole things which we have decided to discuss today. And I believe that all the participants and all the faculty members and family of both the colleges have benefited from your deliberations, and we are really grateful that you have shared your experiences and views and opinions, and shared all the informations and your compelling thoughts with us today. Thank you once again to you. I am very much thankful to all the faculty members of both the colleges who have been doing a lot to make this webinar a grand success. And I also take this opportunity to thank Mr. Ornav Setia from Dibrugarh University, who have sincerely controlling the technical side till now. Thank you, Ornav. At last but not least, I would like to offer my sincere thanks to Mr. Mintu Pathak, joint convener of this webinar, for his continuous effort to make this webinar a grand success. Thank you once again to all, and with these warm words, I officially declare this